We're doing a tour of the Academy Sherman Park neighborhood. It's one of 79 neighborhoods in the city of St. Louis. We're at Soldan High School. It opened in 1909. It's the fourth oldest public high school in St. Louis. It was designed by William Ittner, a St. Louisan, one of the most influential men in school architecture in the 20th century, who designed hundreds of schools across the country. He's our first star on the St. Louis Walk of Fame again. Some of the people who went here were Agnes Moorehead. She was an actress. She won an Emmy and 2 Golden Globes. She had 4 Academy Award nominations. She was a singer at the Muni here in St. Louis. She was in movies and on television for decades. She was Endora on Bewitched, one of her most famous roles. William Martin Jr. went here. He was chairman of the Federal Reserve from 1951 to 1970, the longest-serving Fed chair ever. He holds the record just barely over Alan Greenspan. Clark Clifford was his doubles partner in tennis here at Soldan. He was an advisor to 4 different presidents and was Secretary of Defense. First Truman, then Kennedy, then Johnson, and Carter. This is him with President Harry Truman. This is him with President Lyndon Johnson. Kay Thompson went here. She was Liza Minnelli's godmother. Liza Minnelli was Judy Garland and Vincent Minnelli's daughter. He directed Meet Me in St. Louis, so there's a lot of connections there. Kay Thompson was a singer, vocal arranger, and vocal coach for singers like Judy Garland, Frank Sinatra, Andy Williams, Lena Horne, and June Allison. She wrote the Eloise children's books. And she was in the musical Funny Face. Tennessee Williams went here to Soldan for a year before transferring to U City High School. He's one of our most famous St. Louisans. He wrote The Glass Menagerie, in which some of the characters went here to Soldan, which is quite interesting. He also mentions the fire escape from his apartment in the Central West End. He also wrote A Streetcar Named Desire and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, among others. Lee Falk and Ray Moore also went here. Lee Falk is one of the greats of the golden age of comics. In February 1936, he created the comic The Phantom, the first masked hero in the history of comics. It was before Superman and Batman and had over 100 million readers a day worldwide. His name was Leon Epstein when he went here. His father died when he was young. Falk was his stepdad's middle name. And Ray Moore was the comic strip artist who drew the Phantom. A.E. Hotchner went here to Soldan. He became a lawyer but then gave it up to be a writer. He wrote novels and plays and a biography of Ernest Hemingway. And Doris Day. King of the Hill became a movie that was directed by Steven Soderbergh. He was friends with Paul Newman and co-founded a line of food products which they still donate the profits to charity. Interesting that Paul Newman's movie The Sting, which won Best Picture, features the music of Scott Joplin, another St. Louisan. Virginia Mayo went here. She was an actor and dancer. She also performed at the Muni, our amazing world-class theater. She was in The Best Years of Our Lives, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture. She has an extensive Hollywood resume and was friends with Ronald Reagan. Stan Kann went here, the vacuum cleaner man who appeared dozens of times on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and he played the organ here at Ruggieri's and at the Fox Theater. And Fontella Bass went here. She was a singer. She lived in St. Louis her whole life. She sang Rescue Me, that was in the movie Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg. And I'll get sidetracked for just a minute. Jennifer Lewis was also in that movie, another St. Louisan. And Mary Wicks, who was Sister Mary Lazarus. She was in charge of the choir before Whoopi Goldberg. And they won 2 state championships in basketball here at Soldan in 1981 and in 2012, where Justin Tatum was their head coach. He's Jason Tatum's dad, the star of the Boston Celtics. This was the Clark Elementary School from 1907 to 2009, built before Soldan. It's now the Clark School Lofts. It was also designed by William Ittner. It was named for explorer William Clark. L. Hirschfeld, a caricaturist who I'm going to talk about later, went here, as did Ntozake Shange. She was a playwright and poet. She was nominated for a Tony, Emmy, and Grammy. She wrote For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. She lived in the next neighborhood over, Visitation Park. This is the library. It's a Carnegie library. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate, funded it. He believed in the gospel of wealth, to be philanthropic and give money to these causes. Ntozake Shange came here all the time as a youngster to read. This was part of the Hodiamont Streetcar route. Streetcars ended in 1966. They looked like this. This is the Boo Cat Club, which was the St. Louis Artists Guild. This is the West End Rec Center, which was the Jewish Community Center a long time ago. This is where 5135 Kensington Avenue was, which is where Sally Benson grew up. She was born in 1897, and in the early 1900s wrote a series of short stories about her years there with her family. Those stories were turned into the 1944 musical Meet Me in St. Louis. The family's name in the movie is Smith, which is Sally Benson's maiden name, and she was the youngest of 5. All the family members have the same names as in real life. The dad was Alonzo Smith, the mom Anna, older brother Lon, then Rose, then Esther, that's Judy Garland's character, then Agnes, and then Tootie, and that was Sally Benson's nickname in real life.
We will dance for hoochie coochie. You will be my tootsie woopsie if you will meet me in St. Louis, Louis. Meet me at the fair.
5133 is still here. That's where the boy next door lived, which Judy Garland sings, though I live at 5135 Kensington Avenue, and he lives at 5133. This is 5141 Kensington, the next home to the left. At the end, they go to the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. Scott Joplin composed Cascades for the World's Fair, and it was played there often. Some of the items popularized by the World's Fair were these.
He said, Parson White, you can meet me all right, but the beautiful shore is a joke. Meet me in St. Louis, Louis, meet me at the fair. Don't tell me the lights are shining any place but there. I'll be waiting at the station for the whole darn congregation. So meet me in St. Louis, Louis, meet me at the fair.
As well as public displays of the X-ray machine, typewriter, innovation in flight, automobiles, streetcars, etc. Not the boy next door, but the boy across the street was Al Hirschfeld. He lived at 5124 Kensington. He was an amazing caricaturist, known for his drawings of Broadway stars. His art appeared in the New York Herald and then the Times for decades. He also did movie posters and magazine publishings. These are a few examples. The Martin Beck Theater in New York City was renamed the Al Hirschfeld Theater in 2003. He's the first visual artist with a Broadway theater named after him. Rocco Landesman, another St. Louisan, was president of Jujamcyn Theaters, which produced plays there. Now we'll get a sample of Raymond Place. This is the Youth in Need Early Learning Program. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Everything's frozen by now. The camera, my hands, my feet, my brain. And yet it was still a fun one. Thanks a lot for taking the time to watch.